Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the kitchen again tonight, and tonight we are going to be making one of my favorite side dishes. We are going to make what I like to call party potatoes, hence the potatoes. This simple recipe will impress every guest you'll ever have. It can be used as a side dish, but you can also serve it as an appetizer, or just have it for dinner all by itself. It's pretty good. You can set it out and people can pull one potato out at a time as an appetizer, or you can use a serving spoon and have your guests scoop out a portion. It's entirely up to you. Now, this recipe lends itself really well to customization. You can use taco seasoning, you can use Italian seasoning, you can use a lot of different seasonings instead of the paprika and garlic that I'm going to use. You could even add a little sour cream to the sauce we're going to make for a little kick. Maybe even use cayenne on the potatoes and red pepper flakes in the sauce if you like a little bit of heat. That's okay too. My kids have always liked a pizza version where I use more tomato sauce than the recipe calls for, and you can sprinkle pepperoni on the top if you like. It's really up to you. So we are going to start with our potatoes. Also, the dogs have just come in. But we're going to start with our potatoes. You're going to need between 6 and 10 russet potatoes. These ones are on the smaller side, so instead of 6, I'm using 8. But you are going to need some russet potatoes. The first thing you need to do is peel them. All right, those are now peeled. So now we have to turn them into wedges. But we have to do something a little different because we want these to stick up so you can pull them out of the pan. So we are going to cut them in half, and then we're going to cut them into wedges. Okay, just depends on the size of your potato for your wedges. But we need flat bottoms, so then I'm going to cut them in half this way. Okay, because what that does is that allows them to stand up. That allows our potato wedges to stand up. Okay, that one fell over. But that's basically what we need, is we need those flat bottoms. So once you slice them up, I'm going to do all of them off camera. Throw them into a bowl. I have an orange bowl here. Separate them out, throw them in a bowl. Okay? I'm going to do the rest off camera. I'll finish this one, but I'll do the rest off camera, and we will come back just as soon as I have made all my potato wedges. All right, our potatoes are wedged. So now we need to coat our potatoes. While you're doing this, heat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to need some oil. You're looking at about 3 tablespoons for this amount of potato. This is a recipe that's easily doubled. You'll just need a bigger pan. Then we're going to add some seasoning. We're going to add about a teaspoon of garlic powder, about a teaspoon of paprika. It's so good. I can't put the lid back on. There we go. And then about a teaspoon of salt. Now you can add pepper or you could add cayenne, whatever you like, you can add. We're just going to stick with these 3 basic ones. Get creative if you like. I'm going to put a lid on because I'm mixing these. But I'm mixing them by turning a bowl upside down and going nuts. You can mix them with a wooden spoon if you like. There we go. Okay, now we're going to pop this open. We are going to dump these into a 13 by 9 baking pan. Dump all of the oil in there. Okay, you will not need that bowl again. Give this a shake so that they're in a fairly even layer. We're going to put that in the oven to bake for about 30 minutes so that they're at least mostly cooked. We do not want to put anything else on them right now. We will come back and we will stand them all up pretty, and we will make sure they get a sauce on them. But we'll be back in order to do that. For now, 30 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, those have just come out of the oven. They are almost all the way cooked. We're going to take them out of here with a slotted spatula or a slotted spoon. Let the oil drip off. Transfer them to a dish or plate or whatever you have lined with paper towels because these need to cool. Do not get rid of the dish. We want the dish and the potatoes to cool. Okay? We want everything to cool. And we want this oil to stay in the bottom of the pan. So let the oil drip off. And while you're doing this, lower the temperature on the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, because we need a lower temp for when we put it back in the oven. But for right now, we have to let these guys cool down a little bit, let the dish cool down. We're going to move over to the stove, and we are going to make the sauce that will be put on these guys just as soon as they've cooled a little bit and we've gone around and stood them all up. So let's move over to the stove. All right, we're over at the stove. We've got a small saucepan and half a cup of butter. Pop that butter in there, turn the heat on to about medium heat, and melt your butter. We will be right back as soon as that butter's melted because we're not going to stand here and watch butter melt. Okay? We're just going to melt that butter. All right, our butter is pretty close to melted and it's doing some spitting. So we're going to add some flour. We are going to add 1/3 of a cup of flour and we are going to mix that in until smooth. Okay? Keep mixing. This will help thicken our sauce. No, we haven't added all the ingredients yet. That's okay. Mix until smooth. Okay? To that warm butter. Now we're going to add 1.5 cups of milk. You will need to keep mixing this or that milk is going to scorch. Okay? Keep mixing or your milk's going to go crazy. Keep mixing, keep mixing. What you're waiting for is you want that milk to be fairly warm. Okay? Because if we do anything now, nothing's going to melt. But right now we have butter, we have milk, we have a little flour for thickening. If you need to make this gluten-free, yes, you can substitute with a cornstarch. Just remember, cornstarch clumps a little worse, so you're going to have to really mix it. There we go. Check and see if your milk's slightly warm. We will add our next ingredient, which is tomato sauce. You want about 2 tablespoons, give or take, to taste. You may like more tomato sauce than we do. If you're making the pizza version I mentioned earlier, you would add more tomato sauce than that. That is our homemade pizza sauce that we make from scratch because it's delicious and perfect. And we love it. And I will link to it in the video description because it's fantastic. You don't have to use that. You can use any tomato sauce. We just happen to use the one we make from scratch for everything because it's good. Okay, you want to be checking when that milk is hot because the next ingredient we need is cheese. I still need that. We're going to need some cheese. Here's the thing. We're not going to use all this cheese in the sauce. We're going to use only about a cup in the sauce. You're going to need a total of about 2.5 cups of cheese. We're going to use a cup, maybe 1.25 cups in our beautiful sauce. So I'm going to start adding it little at a time until I've added, I want about 6 scoops like that. So you're not going to add a ton at once because it's not going to melt. Okay. We want all of our 1.25 cups cheese in here and melted. A little bit more. We just want that to get melty. After it gets melty, we need to cook it for 5 minutes, and you have to keep stirring it. I'm not going to put that part on camera. It's boring. When the time comes, we'll just cut away. But you have to keep stirring it because if you don't, your milk is going to burn. Okay? Just keep moving it, checking to see if that cheese is melted. So we're just going to keep melting our cheese into our cheese sauce. It's fantastic cheese sauce. This tastes so good. Remember, you can jazz it up with a couple of herbs if you like. I use the pizza sauce to flavor it, so I'm not too worried. That's our third scoop. I'm doing 6 scoops like that. So I'll end up with just over a cup of cheese in here. Don't go overboard with the cheese or you're going to find your sauce isn't saucy. It ends up a brick. And don't add more flour. I know it's tempting. I know it's like, well, it's too loose. Remember, as the sauce cools, it does thicken. So you don't want too much thickener. So don't add more flour. Definitely don't want to add more flour. Okay, what I'm going to do is this part. This is really boring. So what we're going to do is just finish adding our cheese. And then once the cheese is melted, we are going to set a 5-minute timer. Okay, that's about enough cheese. We are going to set a 5-minute timer after this cheese is melted. So it's obviously not melted yet. So I just put it in there. But once the cheese is melted, we're going to set a 5-minute timer. And then we're going to stir for 5 minutes. Once you have stirred for 5 minutes after the cheese is melted, then you're going to take it off the heat. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to mix this till the cheese is melted, set a 5-minute timer. We'll come back when the cheese sauce is ready to come off the heat. Okay, because otherwise you're just going to sit here watching me stir. So again, stir till your cheese is melted, then set a 5-minute timer and continue to stir. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, our sauce has been cooking for 5 minutes. I had Rowan helping me stir. We are going to pull it. It should look like this, by the way. We are going to pull it off the heat and let it cool. Okay, not completely, just let it sit for a few minutes. Turn off the heat on the element, let that sit for a few minutes, and let's go back over to the counter where our potatoes are waiting for us. Okay, while you are waiting for your sauce to cool, you're going to stand your potatoes up like so. You are going to go around your pan, and some of them won't want to stand up perfectly, and it doesn't matter. And you're going to go around your pan and stand your potatoes up like little soldiers. You don't really have to. You could just lay them down. But stand all your potatoes up. And again, I'm not going to do this all on camera. I obviously did a lot of it off camera. But stand all your little potatoes up. And by the time you're done standing all these little potatoes up, your sauce will be cool enough to use. So we'll come back as soon as I'm done playing with potatoes. Okay, potatoes are stood up. Some of them will fall over. It doesn't matter. So we're going to take just a couple of handfuls of cheese and sprinkle that on there, okay? You can do that underneath the potatoes or on top of the potatoes. Usually I do it underneath, but I forgot. So we're just going to do it this way. It doesn't matter. I'm not taking the potatoes back out. Do it underneath if you remember. If you forget, just put it on top. We're also going to put more on top. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter. Okay? Then we're going to take our sauce. We're going to pour our sauce over. Okay? Get that sauce everywhere. And don't forget that you should have been lowering the temperature of your oven to 375 degrees. If it's still at 425, this is going to burn. Okay? So, there we go. Get that cheese out of there. And then once this pot cools down all the way, I'm going to let the dogs lick the excess cheese out. Okay. Cheese out. Perfect. Now we're going to take the rest of our shredded cheese and put that on top. Okay? We like shredded cheese. And then you're going to pick an herb that you enjoy and you're going to sprinkle it over the top. I think I might use basil. Do you have to stand the potatoes up? No. You can leave the potatoes lying down. Is it fun to stand them up? Yeah. So, no, maybe not basil because I don't have any. I'm going to do... Actually, I'm going to do thyme. These are really good with thyme. You can do parsley, you could do rosemary, oregano, any herb you like. Just take it and sprinkle over there. Okay? Just prep your pan like so. Make sure all your cheese is inside. Jeez. You want all your potatoes and your cheese and everything inside the pan. Look. Keep it in the pan. So now that our pan is prepped and our oven has been lowered to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, we are going to pop this in the oven for 15 minutes. Okay? After 15 minutes, we'll take a look. There'll be one more step after that. So let's pop it in the oven. Well, it's hot and bubbly, but it's not quite done yet. We're going to turn the broiler on in the oven, and we're going to pop it back in for another 5 minutes, just to crisp up the top. So we'll be again right back. 5 minutes under a broiler. That's it, just 5 minutes. And there we go, hot and bubbling straight out of the broiler. Do let it cool just a little bit before you scoop it out. It is boiling hot. Now, this will serve about 6 people as a side dish, a few more as an appetizer, or 4 people as a meal, depending on how many you want to eat. So you can keep leftovers in the fridge for up to 2 days if you store it in an airtight container. This is not necessarily the fastest dish to make, and it's a little finicky. You can just lay the potatoes flat if you don't want to do them standing up. You notice I kind of got lazy at one point. But it is a lot of fun, and it is great for a large gathering because everyone can just take a scoop. It's cheese and potato. It's delicious. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Let me know if you enjoyed making party potatoes in your own home. We'll see you tomorrow.